And then turn to your left and gently start to make your way onto your belly. Stack the hands elbows wide, forehead to hands, and after all that squeezing with the legs, let the feet separate and let all the muscles in the legs relax. If you need a little help here, you can wag your tail from side to side, and that will subtly internally and externally rotate the thigh bones. And then start to still the body. Something we've been focusing on in our meditation practice is when the body is still, how easy it is to feel the breath. And there's even an appetite for the experience of the breath. Tikayo, is everything okay? Feel free to type in the chat box if you need help. Satyam is here for you, and I am too. Oh, I think she just texted. My phone's over here, Satyam. And so, without changing the breath, just bring the focus to the natural expansion that occurs as you inhale. This is when the pelvic floor gently presses down as the organs are pushing down into it. And I can't remember if I said that right. So that's the inhale, just in case I said the opposite. And then the exhale, as you relax completely, and the breath leaves the body, and there's this ever so gentle knitting together, pulling back to center as the pelvic floor gently lifts, the diaphragm gently lifts. You might feel a little extra length through the spine. Just take a few more breaths on our own so that you can feel the sensation of the breath massaging the belly, massaging the spine. And then gently start to reach the hands overhead. If you're following along with the music, you can hit play on the first track and make sure it's set to loop, and then bring the forehead to your blanket. If I didn't say this earlier, make sure there's a blanket spread out because we're going to need it for gliding our feet and legs on throughout class. So from this centered position, you can keep your arms where they are. I find it's not very comfortable to slide my arms here, but it is comfortable to slide my feet. So as you inhale, energetically draw the arms wider. They don't have to move. Let the feet open kind of like a snow angel. And then as you exhale, draw the feet back together, and notice how that sensation allows everything to pull towards the spine, elongating all the way up through the neck and all the way to the hands. So each inhale, that gentle opening, the hands don't have to go far, but the feet will move. And then exhale, everything draws back towards center. Bonus points if you can keep your pelvis level and neutral as you do this. You'll know that the pelvis is level if it actually takes core strength to do this gentle movement. You'll feel that little gentle corseting. The transversus abdominis, that corset muscle, actually works in conjunction with a healthy pelvic floor. And the next time everything squeezes together, pause there and take one full breath in and out. Try to stay relaxed. We never want gripping or tensing really anywhere, but especially not with the pelvic floor. Drag the right hand underneath the shoulder, push into the right hand to roll onto the left side. And then ever so gently start to rock forward and back. And less is more here. We're really not doing anything with the body. Instead, we want to soften and relax. And I find if I have something kinked in my body and I do this without any doership and I really relax, sometimes my body resets. It might not go back to 100, but at least that sort of 5 alarm feeling goes away. Feel free to close the eyes so that you can tune into the breath and make any adjustments so that the arm, hips, knees, whatever, feel as comfortable as possible. And that's true in any pose, right? I might cue something that doesn't feel good. It's up to you to notice that and adapt. Everything should feel awesome that we do. Like you're paying like a lot of money for it to happen. Come to center, flex the feet so you start to feel a little stronger and more stable. Through your next inhale, push down into the left leg so the right leg hovers. And then exhale, slowly squeeze the legs together and notice how that allows you to elongate the spine so much that you can effortlessly hover the neck and head. And we're going to pulse between those two movements a few times. So the inhale, nice, easy lift with the leg. It really comes from pushing down with the bottom leg. And then the exhale is the action we've been practicing, that gentle squeezing that's really more about lengthening through the spine. And it should feel effortless, almost like when you watch a sea turtle floating in the ocean. And even though they're so strong, it just seems like they're not using any energy to move. That's the energy we want to use here. Roseanne will be really good at that because she's an expert in all sea turtle things. And the next time you lift the upper body, pause there. Hover the top hand just so there's that moment of having to balance, and it should feel like there's a little strength at your center. Keep that sense of strength as you lower the head and then put the hand wherever is comfortable. Everything stays still. The only thing that moves is the top leg. Bend the top knee and start to make some circles. And it's not about moving far here. In fact, the real magic happens when you keep the rest of your body completely still. That includes your pelvis too, right? So start to notice something really special about the pelvic floor. Start to notice how the movement in the top leg relates to the bottom leg. You might feel the inner thigh of the bottom leg fire at certain parts. You might feel your core engaged to support you. That's because the pelvic floor is turning on and sending those signals up to the rest of your buoyant core. You can circle a couple times in the opposite direction, which often feels a little tricky, so be patient with yourself. And then lower the knee in front of you. And if you have sensitive knees, use your hand to support coming in and out of this movement. Otherwise, you can do it all with the leg, but just be honest and careful with yourself. So inhale, start to glide the knee open, kind of like a tree pose with the foot away from the leg. And then as you exhale, push down into the left leg so you can slide the right leg back in. Allow the heart to start to open and let the hand naturally spiral behind you. And we'll play between those two shapes. So the inhale opens the hip. You don't want any pressure in the knee there, so the more you push with the right hand, the more support you'll have in the knee. And then the exhale, the inner thighs ever so gently squeeze to initiate the rolling open movement. And we're going to take some time here. There's a lot of magic in this movement, so start to enjoy it, sync it with your own breath. You can add anything on, maybe a hover with the top leg or a circle with the top arm. Maybe you want to come all the way on to the belly. There's really no rules. I'm just giving you some trails to walk, and then maybe you'll discover some beautiful scenery that you want to explore. That's always fair game. And the next time the hip starts to open, let yourself go all the way onto the belly. Pause with the hip open if that feels safe. If it doesn't, you can extend the leg behind you. I actually really love this position though. It's sort of like a fallen tree. You can imagine yourself being embedded in the earth, covered in moss. Take a couple of breaths. And then support yourself so that you can extend the right leg back without too much pressure on that knee. Hands stack, elbows wide, and just notice the sensations through the body. You can wiggle the hips a little bit from side to side or just enjoy the stillness. And then we'll head over to the second side. And you're not going to be facing me, but we'll be doing all the same stuff. So you should be able to follow. You can always turn to face me if it's too tricky. And so let's begin by extending the right arm, dragging the left hand underneath the shoulder. Push into the left hand to roll away from me. And now we massage the right side of the body. And this should feel extra good after all that work you did in the right hip. It might feel like, ooh, I really want to massage that outer thigh, that outer hip, roll back a little bit and get the glute. Whatever feels nourishing and interesting to you. And it's always helpful to move slower than you think you need to. See if you can feel the breath as you move. I find that it's like I have to zoom out and get bigger than my body to observe the movement and the sensation and the breath all at once. And the next time you rock back, pause there, flex the feet, find that moment of stability, hover the top hand, and notice how the core naturally brightens here. It should feel really easy, but there is still a strength. And this is really our goal throughout our class today, that our strength is really natural and there's no gripping, there's no extra effort in our muscles. Place the hand wherever is comfortable. Inhale, hover the top leg just a little bit. And then exhale, start to feel the legs uniting towards one another. Use that strength up the spine to effortlessly lift the head. You don't want to feel the work in the neck. You really want to feel it in the core. Inhale, head down, foot up. And then exhale, kind of like a mermaid, the legs come together and you're able to lift the torso. Take a couple on your own as gently as possible. If you feel it in one place, like the outer hip or the side of the neck, it means you're going too far, and it means the core muscles aren't doing the work. The superficial muscles are, and that's not really beneficial for our purposes today. The next time the upper body lifts, pause there, take a couple of breaths, and then keep that strength as you lower the head. Bend the left knee. We take the circles with the top leg. And remember, it's about feeling supported, keeping the whole body still. The more still the body is, the more stability we're cultivating in that left hip socket. And most of us need more stability. Even if you have tight hips, the tightness often comes from weakness. So the more stability you cultivate, the more those muscles can relax and you'll feel buoyant and light as well as strong and supported. Circle the other way. Nice and easy. You really don't want to feel it at the joint. And then bring the knee in front of you, and we use the inhale to slide open. Support yourself as much as you need to with the left hand to take any pressure out of the left knee. And then the exhale, you push down, squeezing everything together, letting the body spiral open. And play between those two shapes. Inhale to slide open, and exhale to squeeze. And let the upper body open towards the sky. And just like we practice kneeling in the very first part of class, try to let the legs initiate the movement and feel how the rest of the body can follow that, right? Almost like a ribbon, like in rhythmic gymnastics, where you have the handle and you move the handle, and then the whole ribbon follows the expression of the handle. The next time you open, let the torso come face down. The left knee can stay pointed out in our fallen tree, or you can extend the leg behind you, whatever feels comfortable. This used to be way too much in my hip and it didn't feel safe. So if there's a question mark, like you're not sure, I recommend straightening the leg behind you, and then just be kind and patient. You'll get there eventually. Now let's all extend that left leg straight back. If you haven't, take one moment at center. You can stack the hands if that feels more spacious for the breath, and try to let go of everything. You don't need to assess, just let yourself be present with the breath. And we're going to build on that movement from earlier in class. So extend the arms overhead. As we inhale, let the feet open, energetically drag the arms wide. And then as you exhale, squeeze the legs together, squeeze the arms back to center. But this time, let the spine start to lengthen and lift in a supported cobra. From there, drag the hands back, energetically keep them pulling back, and see if that helps you get a little more length. Gaze down so the back of the neck is nice and relaxed. You can gaze to the right, gaze to the left, and then set the head down. Inhale to slide the feet open. Hands can stay where they are. Exhale, squeeze the feet back together. Let that strength travel up the spine so that you can effortlessly lift into cobra. And now repeat with your own breath, inhaling for the spaciousness. And then exhale for that energetic feeling of support and lightness. Maybe you're even starting to notice that exhale sensation of the pelvic floor lifting. It's okay if you're not, but just bringing the awareness down to the base of the core can help those muscles start to wake up and play their role. One more. And the next time you lift, this is optional, but if you feel light and buoyant here, you can make some little circles with the spine. You don't want to feel this in one vertebra, but rather the whole spine swaying and releasing forward, swaying the other way. And then let's all change the direction of those circles. And then come to center, push into the hands, send the hips all the way back to the heels, resting pose here. So if Bhaktasana is not comfortable, you can do a cat pose or anything else that the body is craving. Just make sure this feels restful.